thank you everyone for attending today. I really appreciate you coming out. I would also like to thank Nick Trong, who provided his resume and position descriptions for this test case that I'm going to be showing you today. So I am going to be using a real life tech example. So instead of using my resume, which is somewhat irrelevant, really, because you're more tech focused. You have the technical skills, the education, and all of the background behind you. So this is going to be focused for you. A little bit about my background. I am a director level sales professional with global experience. And I'm experienced in full cycle business development, sales, marketing, and customer support. I also have been working with science and technology-based companies for about the past 15, 20 years. And I have, on a personal note, a passion for quantum physics. And I have been studying quantum physics since about the year 2018 under a retired physicist in a small group setting. So nothing about technology scares me. Today's agenda, what I'll be doing is covering the context of ChatGPT, the prompt quality, setting the stage, and also, again, doing the live demonstration. Think of ChatGPT like your newly hired executive assistant. Your executive assistant doesn't know anything about you, and you know nothing about it. So now you have to start developing a relationship with this person in order for that entity to deliver the results that you want. And you also need to develop a context for accurate output. So you need to give it very detailed instructions and in simplified language so that it really understands and clearly understands what it is that you want. So essentially, quality of input equals the quality of output. Garbage in, garbage out. So keep that in mind, and it's actually about prompt engineering, being able to construct your prompts in such a fashion that it's so clear for the AI model to be able to deliver to what it is that you want. And you also have to continue to refine. So if the AI model doesn't give you the output that you're looking for, keep refining your ask, keep refining the instruction, and just ask it to regenerate. So setting the stage. In giving ChatGPT context, you have to let it know who you are so that it can start to put into some kind of understanding and framework who you are as a personality. And this can be derived from the profile statement on your resume, your profile paragraph, or even from LinkedIn, and any other information that you want to give it. For example, you can even have ChatGPT analyze your writing style. So if, let's say, you've developed a letter or if you've developed an email to someone, you can copy that and paste it into ChatGPT and ask it to analyze the type of person who wrote this letter or piece of work. And it will tell you. It will tell you your personality. It will tell you the level of professionalism. It will give you that level of detail. And it will also tell you, if you ask it, what personality type you are. So there's Myers-Briggs, there's the working genius, various other personality assessments. If you ask it what personality type am I according to this particular personality analysis model, it will tell you. So now you have to describe the assignment. We're going to be going into a live demonstration. And Nick, thank you again. And so we'll go through the initial steps of prompting ChatGPT. And particularly with the position description, you first of all want to identify the keywords and then go into resume changes, how you want to customize your resume for the position description, and then lastly, develop a cover letter. Now the cover letter, I've seen cover letters sometimes fill up an entire page and sometimes go on to 2 pages. No one will read it. And in fact, many instances, the recruiter or hiring manager will just toss out your cover letter. Unless a company actually specifically asks for a cover letter, then provide it. But you want it to be targeted and succinct. So there is a specific format to a cover letter. No more than 3 paragraphs. And no more than 3 sentences per paragraph. And you just want it to be extraordinarily targeted and on point. So I'm going to jump right now into ChatGPT. Okay, good, you can see that. So here's the prompt that I developed, and after this session, I'll talk to Tim to see how I can share this template with you. And you can customize it and adjust it to however it suits you. But this is what I found works for me. So you can read here. This is Nick. You have to tell Nick or tell ChatGPT who you are. Nick is seeking employment in these roles or similar. And so I've listed all the roles that Nick is seeking. I currently possess over 10 years, and I've extrapolated this from his resume. And I'm applying for a position at company as a position. And then please list all the keywords in the position description that should be included in the resume so that he can position himself as the ultimate candidate. And then now here is the position description. Now what I'm just using the free version of ChatGPT. It's really unnecessary to pay for the ChatGPT 4 version. And actually in September, version 5 is going to be rolled out. So right now, 3.5 is sufficient, and particularly for people who are, if you're unemployed, you're seeking employment, cost is a factor, and so you have to manage your budget. The free version is more than adequate. And so this is what the input is here. So this is the position description. That I have copied and pasted into the prompt. So now ChatGPT returns the keywords. And I asked it to put it in a list. And that's critical because you want to take that list, copy and paste it into an Excel spreadsheet so that you can determine and analyze going forward all the keywords that are coming up in all the positions that you're applying for and the frequency of how those keywords are being applied. And that's important because now it gives you the opportunity to continue to refine your resume to those keywords. Now, obviously, there are some keywords that can be used differently, they can be phrased differently and yet have the same meaning. But still, you still want to capture all these keywords and track them. And then in an Excel spreadsheet, you can then filter and then also do a keyword count of the same keyword to track the frequency. Now, from that list of keywords, I have asked the prompt. From the list of keywords, please identify areas in my resume where I can insert these keywords. And so it went through the profile, it went through the highlight of qualifications, went through the career experience, all of his prior positions, all the way to the end. And then this, and it specifically identified the keywords and where in the profile, in the position description, or in the qualifications, and also employment, where these keywords can be applied. Now, I asked it to rewrite the resume, focusing on the recommended keyword changes, and it returned the rewritten resume. And what I did notice is that it condensed a lot of superfluous or extra words, extra language that really didn't have much meaning. And it really made the resume, the language in the resume, very tight and succinct, easy to read. And so the reader, the recruiter, hiring manager, would be able to read that resume in a simplified format, in a language, and then really pick out the keywords in the resume. Now, if anybody has any questions, feel free to stop me at any time and ask your questions as we move forward. So now here I'm showing the rewritten resume. Now, resumes should be written in past tense, unless you're describing your current position. So now I asked it to rewrite the resume in past tense, which it now did. So it's, instead of developing, it's developed, facilitated, applied. And it's using all the action words. So instead of responsible for, managed, it's using action words of developed, facilitated, applied, utilized, conducted. And those action words now stand out for the recruiter or hiring manager. So now this is the rewritten resume. Now I'm asking it to write a cover letter. And so I gave it instructions, again, based on the position description and the identified keywords and your recommended revisions to my resume. Please write a cover letter for this position. And I specifically stipulated that the cover letter is to contain only 3 paragraphs and a maximum of 3 sentences per paragraph. And the cover letter, again, is to reinforce why Nick, or in this instance, I am speaking first person, is the only suitable candidate for this position. And it will take that instruction and write it from that position, from that language position. And I'm always polite when I do give ChatGPT an instruction. Pleases and thank yous are important, and it just keeps the conversation friendly and respectful. So now here is Nick's cover letter. So he's writing to express his interest as advertised, going into his background, demonstrating his career, and yes, there are only 3 paragraphs, and they do not go over 3 sentences each paragraph. And it's now highlighting his skills as to why he should be the only candidate to be considered for this position. So that's it. Now, if you want, I can go in and now go into another resume and do an actual run through, because I've scrolled through and it's already provided the example. But I can take another example of Nick's, which I have not yet run through the prompts. So you basically want to describe yourself to ChatGPT. Yes.
So you're using the OpenAI ChatGPT?
Yes.
Is that... So, just to repeat, so she's using the OpenAI ChatGPT. I recently discovered Gemini, which is kind of the Google version.
Yes.
In your opinion, is there one that's better than others? Because everyone kind of has a chat bot now that can do this kind of stuff.
Exactly. I've heard mixed reviews on Gemini, and basically from the various people who I've spoken to and from their experience, they prefer ChatGPT. It's more accurate. It provides a better output. Gemini is still a little clunky. So ChatGPT is, because it was basically first out of the gate, it's more developed than the other AI models that are coming out. And then keeping in mind that ChatGPT has been in use for a little while now, and from quite a large, broad audience, and now it's taking that information and that learning, and it's building upon itself, and it's improving itself. So, but again, test them out, because just because ChatGPT is basically the star child right now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be that way forever, because the AI landscape is becoming extraordinarily competitive. And I encourage every single person here and beyond that if you are not yet using some kind of AI model to advance your job search, advance your career, you better start. And
back to Sandra, 2 weeks ago we had a meetup here in this exact same space where someone was talking about some of the controversial components of these foundation or large language models. And Google has been in the news lately because its Gemini model for creating images refused to create historically accurate images. So it was just a good reminder that a lot of these models are trained on data, and depending on what type of biases the data might contain, or perhaps the different policies that are being applied to these models, the output might be something that definitely requires some digging into. Definitely OpenAI's ChatGPT is a very popular one, Gemini from Google, Twitter, or I guess it's now known as X, also released its own large language model that it just made open source, because Elon Musk has been in the news lately about complaining about OpenAI not being very open at all. They have a model called Grok, which actually trains itself on Twitter data. So I think the limitations of ChatGPT is that it's only been trained on data up to a certain point in 2023. Anything beyond that, it has not been trained on. Whereas Twitter, X, or Grok has real-time tweets that can be trained on. And then there's a whole slew of open source models as well too. So Meta has its Llama, Mistral AI. So I think as Sandra has indicated, this landscape continues to change and to evolve. Would you be okay if I did like an ad hoc poll right now?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So put your hand up if you have used ChatGPT. Okay, so this is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Keep your hand up if you have used ChatGPT 4, so the paid version. Okay, so less, right? Okay, and then put your hand up if you've actually used ChatGPT to level up your cover letter or your resume in the last 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
And you know your audience.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Thanks, Tim. Thanks for that reminder. I was going to do the same poll, but I missed that little bit. Okay. So, let me see here.
There's one more question.
Oh. Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
One question on the basic interface of ChatGPT. The chats on the left side, are they like separate pockets or the information that will be conveyed throughout the software?
Okay, so that's a good question. I've saved everything of a specific project that I'm working on. I save that in a separate folder so that the conversation can be contained to that folder, and so that I avoid contaminating my future work, my present or future work, with any of the conversations or the content that is in these other separate folders. Okay.
But I confess I'm one of these non-users. So when you would ask ChatGPT to create a resume, I'm guessing probably this. Did you have to put the original resume as an input before doing that?
Yes. So I used Nick's original resume, and I asked it to insert the keywords or to adjust the resume with the keywords from the position description. So I already had a resume, because if you ask ChatGPT, create a resume, well, it doesn't know anything about you. It doesn't know about your work history. It needs some information. Yes. Yes. Oh, that's a good question, because a lot of people, some people are unaware that this is, yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you for your question.
Hi, Zach. Just to clarify what was just asked, you were talking about folders. Now, I just need to clarify this, because I know I was playing around with my kids and my wife one day, and I was putting in all sorts of garbage stuff in ChatGPT. Is it keeping track of that now and biasing some of my other requests that I want to consider as formal requests? Is it going to screw some of that?
Are you keeping them separate?
Well,
Or are you just...
every time I type in, and then I type something else
Oh,
in,
okay.
This
Oh, so you're just basically doing like an information dump in one folder. Okay.
So I better delete
Yeah. Or you can copy and paste it and parse it out into separate folders.
Okay, you just do like a new chat. Then.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay. Oh, but a new chat creates a separate folder.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
okay,
yes, yes.
Then, yeah, I'm okay with this.
You have to wait for 1 day. It will be automatically showing another day.
Okay, so all your folders just left are new chats.
Yes.
Okay, so mine
Oh,
is
yes.
going to just okay, I think I'm fine with that.
Oh, you're okay. Okay. You just, it's, so just to be clear, you don't have just one file, one folder, and you're just continuing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's see, where are we for time? We still have a lot of time. Oh, yes. So I was mentioning that if you're not on some kind of AI, using some kind of AI technology, start, because that is going to set you apart from other candidates in the job market. And there are a lot of free courses that people on LinkedIn are sharing, courses like ranging the gamut. There's a broad range of free courses, micro-credentialing courses that you can take, and start taking those now, because you can actually put those on your resume to show and elevate your profile, and also put them on your LinkedIn profile. Because as recruiters and hiring managers are searching for possible candidates, they look for those people who are educating themselves on AI. And also put that in your about statement, your profile statement on LinkedIn, and also your profile statement on your resume. Just even one sentence that you are continuing education in AI. And it doesn't need to be a formal, oh,
So if you end up having an interview, you use ChatGPT, would you admit during the interview that you use ChatGPT to help you with your job search?
absolutely, I would.
Nowadays, it would be more accepted.
Well, I would, if I'm asked, I wouldn't just say, oh, by the way, just offer this information that I'm using ChatGPT to help me construct my resume if I'm asked. But the thing is, with everything that ChatGPT produced here, you must have a human, as in you, review it. Is it in your language? Is it in language that you would use? Is it in words that you would use? Because when you're in an interview and you're speaking completely different than what is in your resume and cover letter and on your LinkedIn profile, then you're going to be questioned. And it's not that ChatGPT prepared your resume. It gave you suggestions for enhancement, and it gave you recommendations to consider enhancing your resume in areas that you may not have thought of. And it basically, it's like a creative collaborator. It gives you ideas that you normally wouldn't have thought of. And it just basically accelerates the learning and knowledge process. Because what I found is that the more I use ChatGPT in constructing cover letters, adjusting my resume, my personal language has improved. And my communication has improved. The words I use have improved.
Vocabulary is also increased. Vocabulary is also increased.
Vocabulary, yes, yes. Grammarly, yes. For grammar correction, yes. Yes, yes. And then what I would do is, from this example here on screen, I take that, drop that into, copy paste into a Word document, MS Word document, and then do spell check. I read it over again, and also check for grammar, punctuation, grammar, sentence structure. And it's just a quick read, a quick review, but you always have to have a human oversight. Okay.
Is it possible for you to share this chat with us? To share the particular
I can share the prompts. Because this is Nick's resume and position that he's applying for, there are privacy issues, but I can share the prompts that I used. Yes. And basically, what would happen is that the prompts that I've shown here, that I've used, it would give you an output specific to you, to your personality, to your background, and to your career history.
This will be for a template, because sometimes when do your research on ChatGPT, you do randomly, you just put the job responsibilities in it, then you put your resume in it, and then it kind of regenerates the resume according to the job that you have provided to the ChatGPT. But here I'm seeing like you are asking ChatGPT, like you are doing a chat with the ChatGPT and then redefining your resume.
Yes. You already have a resume. Now you want to customize it to the position description. Because again, there are some keywords that you may have missed. Because obviously when everybody here has very diverse backgrounds, lengthy backgrounds, a lot of technical skills, not everyone is the same.
Do recruiters really read the cover letter?
Pardon me?
Do the recruiters really read the cover letter?
Only if they request it. What I've heard from recruiters, and this is told to me by recruiters, unless they ask for a cover letter, they will not read it. Some will, some won't. But if they get a cover letter that's very short, then they'll read it. Now, I do know of some people that try to do the hacking, whereby they will submit an online resume and have the cover letter as the first page document. Well, if you're not asked for it, this is me. You can choose to do whatever you want, but I would avoid providing a cover letter, because who you are, your value to a company should be in that profile statement. That's where you have the big impact.
The first part of the resume.
Yes,
Highlights.
yes.
And it just helps to get it through the ATS system, right? This resume, this form.
Well, you know, here's a funny thing though. You can try and hack the ATS, but I've heard of people who have a 30% match to the position get an interview.
I've never exceeded more than 30 or 40%.
It's opposite. 70% is not getting any result.
Well, then if it's only a 30% match, you may have to take a look at your resume and use ChatGPT to improve it.
So it should be around 90 to 100 in
Oh, that would be impossible. That would be impossible to have a 90% match.
Sandra, we also have a question.
Yes.
Hi, Sandra. My name is Sophia. Me and Regina here, we're from Ireland, and we were just wondering, considering all of the scare around ATS, have you actually noticed ChatGPT being more useful when it comes to overcoming their AI? Have you noticed that you got more responses for interviews or whoever was using these prompts? Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does make sense.
Yeah.
I'm unable to give you my example because I've been doing more coaching than applying. So I've been coaching more people than looking for a job myself. So a better person to ask would be someone who's very active in applying AI to their resume process. But this is what I've been doing, these prompts that I've developed with the few positions that I've applied for. Now, I'm looking for a very, very specific role in a specific industry and company. So my situation is different than many here because I'm particularly looking for a company that has a product or service that is patented. So I'm particularly seeking out those particular companies, and they're not very prolific. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Have you or anyone here had success with using ChatGPT to cut irrelevant content from the resume or the cover letter?
Absolutely. It will streamline. It will streamline the language and cut out extra words that are just basically unnecessary. And so when I did Nick's resume and compared the output to the instructions that I had provided to Nick's resume, the original resume, I noticed that it tightened up the sentences. It made them much more clear to understand, and the language was very concise. Yes, yes, absolutely. Okay.
Next is hired.
Pardon?
Now next is hired. The guy is hired now.
The guy who's hired?
The one we were talking about.
Oh yeah, Nick is hired. Absolutely. Okay. So we have covered this example here. He also provided me with a different position. So we are going to open up a new chat. New chat. And I'm going to just going to reduce that somewhat. Functional analyst. We'll take a new position description. Here we are. And my prompt sheet. And again, I will have Tim share this prompt sheet for whoever wants it. Treatment. So we're opening up a new chat. And again, in the new chat, I am priming ChatGPT again to use the same information of the type of positions that he is targeting. So here are the positions he's targeting. Again, it's the same as what I previously mentioned. The company name is different. City of Calgary. So replace Enbridge with the City of Calgary. And this position is water treatment turnaround engineer. And save yourself time. Just keep copies of the prompts. Now I take the position description because I want it to tell me all the keywords in this position description. Pasted the position description, and it's going to provide me with a list.
So in case you didn't see it, what Sandra did was she went to a prior prompt or a prior chat, grabbed the prompt from that one, and used that to start the new chat. This is a great way of being able to recycle some of the prompts that you use.
Exactly, and I consistently recycle the same prompts. And if the output that if I start seeing the output is of a lesser quality or really not returning the kind of information that I want, then what is it that I want it to do? What information, better information is it that I want out of that output? And I will adjust that prompt. I will give it more information, more detail, be more explicit, and then enter that in the template prompt, and then reuse that same prompt. So now, here we are, it's listed all of the keywords in that position description. And then now, from the list of keywords, identify areas in his resume where the resume can be adjusted. And he already provided a resume specific for that position, but we'll see where it will show improvements. Okay. And it's doing its work. So here we see it identifies the areas specific in the resume. So here are the recommendations in the profile. Mention the experience in doing turnarounds. Highlight your ability to work in fast-paced environments. And this is in the profile section because these are essential keywords or essential requirements of the position that the City of Calgary are looking for. And so you want to highlight that in the profile. And then it also gives suggestions on where to improve on the skills, the language or wording in the skills, plus also select experience, highlight that he's an APEGA engineer. That's essential. And then also any other recommendations. So is all of this...
Just to be clear, you copy and pasted Nick's resume and put that in as part of the prompt.
Yes. So the initial part of the prompt was to rewrite or to provide, to highlight areas in the resume where it could be improved based on the keywords that were generated by ChatGPT. And so you have to reference what is it that you wanted to do. Go back to the keywords that you generated. Here is the resume that I'm providing you, and identify areas in the resume that I can improve based on the keywords of the position description. And I like it to identify in the categories or in the headings the areas for improvement, because that helps me understand logically where it is that I can look in future job descriptions and update my resume accordingly. And the resume is always, it's a living document. It's always being improved upon, always being adjusted, always being refined. And just because we're applying for a particular position over here, there are still certain skills that can be applied in other positions that can be carried over to that resume. So it's always having that resume being a living document, always being improved upon and refined. So then, after that was, we can jump straight ahead to, oh, actually, just a minute here. I know what I'm going to do. So we covered, this is the prior position. It gave areas for improvement. So please rewrite my resume, focusing on the recommended keyword changes. Oops, yeah, that's the one. Now it's going through and rewriting the profile statement, the skills, all of the employment history, and identifying the keywords. And then if I were to take this document here, the output, and do a document compare in MS Word, it will show where ChatGPT had made the improvements. And then you can decide whether to accept them or reject. And again, using your words, your language, how you would phrase your communication when in an interview. Because if ChatGPT starts speaking in a manner that is completely different than your personality, then you want that corrected, and you want to know where that's identified.
What I learned while I was using the ChatGPT was you can just write a word there.
What's that?
What changes you did in the resume, it will show all the points.
Yes.
If you write it over there,
Yes.
in this area, that what changes you did in the resume, it will also show.
Yeah. Yes, in a prompt.
So, Senator, this is probably one of the most important questions that I don't want to reiterate a lot too. After this output, how much time should one take to really tighten up this new resume that has been generated from ChatGPT?
This entire process should take you about 30 minutes from beginning to end. Mm-hmm.
I believe it is still very important to go through and ensure that the language that you're using before submitting to the final position should be reflective of what you really would like the screener to read.
Absolutely, you have to read it. All the outputs, whatever ChatGPT provides you in an output, you have to read it. That is critical. Instead of just taking the output and just blanket submitting, you're going to find errors. So you have to make sure that the output is accurate, it's in a language that is reflective of who you are in your personality, and also that it also accurately transcribed from your prior resume to the new version, so that you can ensure that there aren't any errors.
To Nick's kind of question, that 30 minutes, does that include the review of the newly spit out resume? So
I can
everything in and then review what it gave you. That whole thing should be about 30 minutes.
I've come to the point where I can do that now in 30 minutes. Because I've worked with ChatGPT so much, and as you can see here on the left-hand side, I've had other projects that I've worked on and other analyses that I've worked on, apart from just the job search. I've worked with ChatGPT so much that I can quickly review any document that it has output.
Suppose there are like 10 positions I'm interested in, so I have to develop the 10 prompts for 10 resumes.
Well, you have to customize your resume for each position in order for you to stand out amongst competitors and set yourself apart. This is about elevating your resume to the top of the pile. And if you just go out and spread your resume the way it is right now to every single position, there is a high probability that you will not get an interview. So you have to, because the larger companies, the larger mid-size to large companies, they use ATS. The smaller companies, small-size companies to the lower mid-tier to lower mid-size companies, they typically would not use ATS because ATSs are expensive. So typically a hiring manager or recruiter, particularly a recruiter, you submit your resume to a position on a website. The recruiter, depending on the size of the recruiting agency, a lot of recruiting agencies don't use ATSs. They review the resume, a human reviews it. So you want to be very specific and targeted in your approach, in your language, in the resume, that highlight all the keywords, all the skills that they require in that position description. Pull that into your resume. Your resume has to be customized for each position, unless you're applying for the same position description with multiple different companies. Does that make sense? Yeah, I know. It's probably not the answer you want to hear because it is a tremendous amount of work. But using AI, using ChatGPT, it drastically reduces the time. Just as an example, I was given a project, a research project for a startup pharma. And the research that I did, I was able to complete it in about half an hour. Otherwise, it would have taken me 2 days to pull that information together. just by manually researching online. With ChatGPT and the prompt engineering, the quality in developing those prompts, I was able to pull together a report in half an hour.
Hi Sandra, it's TJ. I just have a quick question that I might have missed in the past. Is there any significant difference for doing this with ChatGPT 3.5 versus the paid version, 4.0?
You may be able to get a little bit better output, higher quality output. That's what I'm hearing. I'm still using the free version. But if you want to go and pay for the version 4 and see the difference, experience the difference for yourself, go for it. But then, keep in mind that 5 will be coming out at the end of this year. So, you know, you pay for it now or you pay for it later.
How this ATS system will work with this content of the ChatGPT? How this ATS system, what you are talking about, that
Yes.
ATS system they are using, big industries, they are using the ATS system.
Yes.
So how this ChatGPT content, which when they are fitting in the ATS system, it is accepted, rejected, plagiarism, how?
Well, okay. Yes,
My question again.
yeah, no, I'm looking at your name.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Yes. How the ATS system grades your resume according to the keywords, well, they look for matches. The higher the match, it will pass. So the more keywords that you're able to incorporate or use in your resume, and if they ask for a cover letter, in your cover letter, the more keywords you can use, the higher you come in the score, and then you can pass through. And the keywords are coming from the actual company position description. And so earlier on, that's exactly what I did. I took a copy of the position description in this particular example, the city of Calgary, copied it, and pasted it into ChatGPT. So now ChatGPT now has the actual position description, and it can write to that position description, make adjustments in your resume and cover letter, construct a cover letter specific for that position using those keywords. Okay. So now, oh, yes.
Hi, Sandra. What are your thoughts on using customized GPT feature instead of manually putting in the prompts every single new chat? So, for example, there's a feature when you click on your name on the bottom.
Oh, here.
Yeah. And then there's customized GPT. So what I have done is I have put in all of the instructions saying use the ATS best practices, all the instructions that you're manually putting in there. I guess my question is that a better use of time, putting that into the customized GPT instruction there, or is it better to manually put it in because it would use, I guess, your live data instead of the previous data that you put in? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. And I designed this presentation particularly for new users, so that they can, so people who have never used ChatGPT before can actually see the prompt that goes in and how to construct a prompt, and then inputting the information that you want ChatGPT to analyze. So that's how I did. But yes, your comment is valid in using the custom. But I just wanted people to see, whoever is new to ChatGPT, how to use the prompts when asking the question. Okay. Oh, we're running a little over time.
That's okay.
Okay.
This is generating some great conversation.
It is, it is. Okay, so now what did we do here? I'm going to go back. Yes, the resume has been rewritten. Now we are going to write the cover letter. And again, always, this resume has been rewritten. Always read the resume. Read the resume for accuracy. Read the resume for language. And also read the resume so that it is in your tone of voice. So now, this is the prompt. Okay, so this is the instruction. What was that again? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. And those are the instructions for the cover letter. Now, if I go back and compare these two cover letters, they're to the previous position, they're completely different. Because now it's highlighting specific skills from the position description, what the skills that Nick has, and how they apply for this particular position. And it's just that easy. So in the space of, in an hour, including Q&A, question and answer, little bit of presentation, in an hour we've done 2 positions. We've gone through, analyzed the keywords, gave it instructions. First of all, gave it instructions as to who we are. We pulled in information from our profile statement on the resume. And actually what I did is I also went to Nick's LinkedIn profile in his About section. And I pulled in a little bit of information from there, just to give ChatGPT a little bit more context as to his personality, who he is, a well-rounded individual, and taking also information from his profile statement that wasn't mentioned in his LinkedIn profile, and pulled that information in at the very beginning so that ChatGPT now knows who is Nick, who is this person that's applying for this particular position. So you have to treat ChatGPT again like your personal assistant, and now you're developing this relationship with this individual, and it will start to get to know you. It will speak in words. It will speak in your tone, in your language, in your personality. So the more you use it, the more it gets to know you, and the more it will speak like you. So,
I have a question.
yes.
So, when you sit down ChatGPT, I'm applying for a position at value backdrop. Would you see advantage of telling ChatGPT about this company? For example, all the company they have it about us and their values, and would that help so that if one of the 5 top values of the company is something that is not in the job description, but it would that be relevant information to put to tell ChatGPT?
Absolutely, and particularly before I go through this section, developing a resume, what I do is a quick analysis on what is the company's pain points in comparison to their competitors in the industry. What disadvantages or advantages do they have to their competitors? So I can develop a competitive advantage in my questions, because after I prepare the resume and submit it, then I will take that analysis that I've done on the company beforehand, and I will ask ChatGPT to prepare a list of interview questions for me that I can ask the company in an interview.
So one of my friends is really into AI. She was part of a South Korean where it would be live. ChatGPT hears the interview and in real time suggests questions for
Yes.
the interviewer to ask the interviewer.
Yes, yes. AI is being used in interviews, and particularly when companies record you, AI is recording you. It's recording your eye movement, it's recording micro expressions, and it's analyzing you, whether you're telling the truth or not. Oh yeah, it's becoming quite sophisticated, and particularly for larger companies. So for example, there are some recruiters with larger companies who are using an HR AI model. They will go in and copy your LinkedIn profile, drop it into their HR AI model, and ask it to analyze you. Analyze your personality, and also provide interview questions that the recruiter can ask you when they call you. So there'll be a list of questions. And they can also ask the AI model, the HR model, to analyze your personality according to Myers-Briggs, to categorize you without you even taking the test. And it will analyze your personality, it will categorize you, it will tell the kind of person you are, and it will provide all that detailed information. I saw the working model of it, and it was a little unnerving, put it that way. Yeah.
It's good. So I had a question regarding the different resumes. Obviously, you've got to be applying for more than one job that you have, so you're going to change your resumes like every now and then. When compared to LinkedIn, like, do you suggest uploading some optimal resume or anything as such? Like, your job seekers or your employers are going to secure your LinkedIn profile for sure, right?
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, so what resume do you suggest? Like, it should be an optimal one because there are different versions of your resume.
Yes, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because as you were adjusting your resume, always make sure that the language is similarly reflected in your LinkedIn profile. And you can even use ChatGPT to improve your LinkedIn profile, your About section. And your LinkedIn profile is not your resume. So there's a lot less information provided under each employer. Yes, you do have to provide where you've worked, the period of time you've worked, and a brief description as to what you did and the impact that you had at that company. And actually, you can take your accomplishments for what you've done in that company and ask ChatGPT to write a short paragraph, 3 sentences of the impact you made to the company from your accomplishments. And it will do that for each company that you've worked for. And then it will just tighten up the language, and particularly with your about statement, it will really do a good job on your about statement, because I did use ChatGPT for my about statement to help me with that. And actually there's something called North Star and wow factors. And again, this is through the Higher Landing program, and star stories. The star stories are your accomplishments. I used ChatGPT to refine my star stories and bring out the value that I had to the companies that I worked for. Plus also, my North Star is an execution strategist. I didn't know that. I had no idea that this is who I was. And I used ChatGPT to refine that North Star, the language of that North Star, to actually come up with, I saw execution, which is one of my strengths. My core strength is execution, and strategy is the second. I saw execution, strategist in the list of suggested North Stars. I saw that word, this word, paired the two together, and it clicked. So I use ChatGPT to generate, it's an idea generator, and it helps you refine your thinking. It helps you open up to new possibilities of thinking, of exploring different options. Because oftentimes, and particularly in job search, we feel like we're alone. But ChatGPT is there to really help us, and we can use it to our advantage. And also connect with people here. This is one of the biggest advantages of groups like this. Connect with people and then arrange to have a one-on-one discussion or a little brainstorming session online.